Welcome back. Well, 2025 certainly was the year that AI went mainstream, driving double-digit gains in technology, fueling record deal-making across the industry. One company is at the center of the story, Nvidia, the AI chip leader, locking in multi-billion-dollar partnerships across sectors, reaching an historic $5 trillion market cap back in October. Joining me now is the man at the center of it all, Nvidia's president, CEO, and founder, Jensen Huang. Jensen, it's great to have you this morning.
It's great to be here, Maria.
Thanks so much for being here. How does that feel? What an intro I just gave you.
I know. I'm pretty excited.
Incredible. How is business going?
Do that every day.
How's business? Tell us about business and what you are seeing right now from customers.
We are seeing just incredible demand. And what's going on around the world is that AI, as you know, is a 5-layer cake. It starts at energy, then chips, the layer that we're at, infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, land, power, shell, building data centers. And then, of course, the AI models, and there's a whole bunch of those that are making huge breakthroughs. OpenAI has, and Anthropic has incredible work, XAI and Gemini. And then on top of that, the most important layer is all the applications. This last year, AI really hit its stride. What people don't realize is that this last year, AI became super useful, so useful that the layer above the AI models are able to now create incredible applications. This last year, AI startups, we call them AI natives, these startups raised $100 billion to build on top of the AI models. They're applications for healthcare, applications for drug discovery, for transportation, financial services, helping with making healthcare more efficient, all kinds of different applications. And so the demand is just incredible.
So demand is soaring, and you're already talking about work for calendar year 2027. Is that right? With some customers?
It's for sure now we're going to have a very large 2026.
You said that you had, a backlog, a big backlog, $500 billion in backlog?
Yes.
Tell us about that. Where are you on that?
Well, since I said that a few months ago, that backlog has gotten bigger than that. And so I think we're just seeing, AI has gone from these language models to now going into healthcare, into drug discovery, into manufacturing. This last year, we made huge breakthroughs in this area called physical AI, where AI understands the world. It understands causality and the laws of physics, and you could use it for self-driving cars. And of course, we're going to see huge breakthroughs in self-driving cars. It's going to be all over, robotic systems of all kinds.
That is incredible. So talk to us about the different chips. I mean, have you started getting the licenses to sell chips to China?
President Trump, and we applaud him for doing this, has now licensed us to sell H200s to China. We're currently shipping Blackwells, and a couple of weeks ago, I announced our next generation that will go into production in Q3 of this year, which is called Vera Rubin.
Okay, so the Rubin, is the most advanced chip?
It's 10 times more energy efficient than Blackwell. It's 10 times lower cost for generating tokens than Blackwell. 10 times. And Blackwell was 10 times that of Hopper. So every single year we're driving up energy efficiency and we're driving down the token costs. This way, AI can continue to be affordable, more clever, more smart, while being more affordable for everybody to use.
I want to get back to Rubin and Blackwell, but with regard to the chips sold to China, there are reports that China is telling its companies don't use American or don't use West chips. Is that true?
Well, they want to favor their companies, and that's understandable. But H200 is extraordinary for the Chinese market, and there's demand for it, quite significant demand. And I hope that they'll continue to keep the market open for us. The Chinese market wants to be open. They want to welcome competition. They want to welcome investment in their countries. We've been there for 30 some odd years. And we hope we can continue to serve that market.
But of course, President Trump sees this industry as a national security issue, and it is, of course, given the fact that your very important chips are used in the military. So there's a debate on whether or not China should actually be getting our chips. What's your take? You want to obviously sell to that market, but are there risks with regard to national security?
First of all, H200 are not used by their military because their military, like our military, builds on our own chips. And they build plenty of great chips. Huawei and many new startups, they've all gone public this year, hundreds of billions of dollars of market value now in building AI chips. So they have lots of AI chips for themselves. With respect to H200, we remember the AI stack is 5 layers deep. And we want to win the AI race, and we need to win the AI race at every single layer. We want to win the energy layer. We want to win the chip layer, the infrastructure layer, the AI model layer, and also the application layer. President Trump wants us to go win the marketplace, compete around the world, bring home jobs, create revenue for the United States, and continue to lead the technology around the world. We can't concede any market. And so having the ability to keep the United States at the forefront with Blackwell today and very soon Rubin, but now allowing American chip companies to compete around the world, we have the benefit of having a thoughtful and balanced strategy.
And of course, one of the pillars of the AI plan out of the White House is to export American technology around the world. Is that happening right now? How can you help to ensure that that does happen, that the world is using the models of your chips, that the world is using actually American or Nvidia type products?
We want to export American technology all over the world so that the rest of the world could build their industry on top. And of course, we have the benefit of being the foundation of the technology layer for as many countries around the world as possible. That applies to the chip layer. That also applies to the model layer, as you mentioned. These AI models are available for use all over the world. For example, OpenAI, I just heard that in China, in India, incredible usage of OpenAI in India, and that's terrific. We want to make sure that American technology is exported all over the world so that they could build their applications on top.
So how is the supply chain looking right now with all of this demand? Will you be able to meet that demand?
We can meet our demand, but demand is really, really high, and there's no question that for our company to grow at the rate and also at the size of our company is quite extraordinary. But our supply chain is doing terrifically for us. We have the largest supply chain of computing technology in the world, and we have hundreds of companies supporting us, and they're doing a great job for us.
That is incredible, Jensen. And you came on the last time when we spoke, and you were talking about your supply chain in Arizona that you were going to produce here in America. Where does that stand? Tell us about it.
President Trump wants to reindustrialize the United States. And AI is really a perfect time to do it, because in order to do that, in order for AI, you have to build infrastructure, and that infrastructure includes chip factories, computer factories, and AI factories. And we're building all three in the United States. Partnering with TSMC, Nvidia's Blackwell is now produced in Arizona, manufactured in volume as we speak. And this only started just this year. So the rate at which this was being done, TSMC is a great strategic partner of NVIDIA, also of the United States. And they've built a fabulous factory in Arizona. In Texas, we have Foxconn building a 1 million square foot computer factory, completely robotics. It's going to be really, really advanced. And so really grateful to have their partnership. And of course, we're building AI factories all over the United States. This is creating just an enormous number of jobs. The thing that's really important to recognize that this is the largest infrastructure build-out in human history.
Unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable. And it's a perfect time for the United States to jump on this, because it allows us to bring jobs home, bring a layer of manufacturing jobs with great trade skill workers, plumbers, electricians, network technicians, construction workers, designers, architects. It's going to create lots and lots of jobs.
It's a great point on jobs. We just spoke with Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce, and he talked about the importance of that Taiwan semiconductor investment. Watch this.
Our objective is, when we leave office, we're going to have 40% market share. So we've got Taiwan, right? 2 blocks of $250 billion, right? Their companies are going to come here, TSMC. We gave them credit for $100 billion. So they've got another 150 to go, right? Plus Taiwan's going to put $250 billion toward their small and mid-sized companies. So we bring the whole supply chain from Taiwan here, try to get up to 40% market share, right? And then for the rest, the CHIPS Act, which was small, we doubled its size. We basically spent no more money and doubled its size. We have Micron building $200 billion in America. So we are going to invest $1 trillion in semiconductors in America, get up to 40% market share, and at least be able to take care of ourselves. God forbid we need to.
Your reaction, and how soon do you believe it is until the United States is then independent from foreign production?
Well, we've started in a very big way. Without President Trump and his strategies, we wouldn't be here today. And so I'm really grateful for all of his policies and encouraging Taiwan and TSMC to build here in the United States. In the next several years, over the course of the next 3 more years, we're going to manufacture approximately $500 billion worth of AI computing systems here in the United States. So it's just an incredible thing. The partnership with TSMC and Taiwan, it's great for Taiwan. It expands the Taiwan footprint into the United States. It's fantastic for them. It's, of course, incredible for the United States. Creates lots and lots of jobs. Now, the ecosystem and building up all of these fabs is probably going to take several years. You know, within a decade, there's no question we'll be independent.
What do you want to say about some of these circular deals that we're hearing about? And of course, you did a deal with OpenAI. People are saying, well, wait a second, who's buying what? And then they're going to supply chips. I mean, they're questioning because of these are so-called circular deals. What can you say about it?
Well, we're investing in these companies, and we're getting shares back for them. Now, these are the opportunity to invest in OpenAI, the opportunity to invest in Elon's xAI or Anthropic. These are fantastic investment opportunities. There's some of the best investments in human history is being created right now. And so we make an investment in them. We partner with them. The investments that we make in them is a small percentage of our overall revenue. So obviously, they still have to raise most of the money themselves. But it's a great opportunity for us to be a partner to them, invest some small amount into them.
I mean, this is changing the world, obviously, and you are right at the center of it. I want to get your take about the amount of money and who's spending it, because for so long we kept talking about the hyperscalers, the large technology companies investing in AI and build-outs. But you're saying what I just heard a few minutes ago is that it's really broadening out. You're seeing corporate America, you're seeing healthcare, automotive, et cetera, invest. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You know, everything from established companies. 2 weeks ago, David Ricks and I announced a big partnership with Lilly to build an AI lab, a co-innovation lab together, to apply artificial intelligence, because we've made such huge breakthroughs in physical AI and biological AI that we can finally use the technology to advance drug discovery. Now, if you go back and just think about where does the drug industry invest their R&D dollars over the last 2 years before that, it's all in wet labs. Now going forward, most of it, a lot of it is of course still going to continue to be in wet labs, but a lot of it's going to be in AI. And so you're seeing a pivot of R&D spend in drug discovery, in healthcare industries, in automotive industries, of course, because of self-driving cars, manufacturings because of huge amounts of robotics investments. And so the large companies around the world are shifting their R&D spend towards artificial intelligence. In terms of startups, last year was the largest investment year for VCs, $100 billion or more. And a lot of that is focused on AI natives who are building applications for healthcare or financial services or manufacturing on top of the AI models. And so these industries, these applications, ultimately goes where we need AI to ultimately diffuse into applications that companies and people use.
Incredible. And how much money do you expect this to be happening and invested into AI on a yearly basis for how many years? I mean, how long is this going to take?
Yeah. Well, are you
talking about trillions of dollars of investment every year?
No question. If you just think about the world's ecosystem industries, $100 trillion. Out of that, probably something like 20 some odd trillion dollars is R&D spend or OPEX spend. A lot of that is going to be augmented with artificial intelligence. Now, of course, AI is a very different type of software. This software needs infrastructure or AI factories to produce. And the reason for that is because the AI is aware of the context every single time it generates an answer. It's completely unique, and it depends on the prompt or question or instruction or the context that you provide. And so every single time it's completely unique. Unlike previous computers, where most of the software is pre-recorded and most of the content was pre-recorded and retrieved. AI is completely generated in real time, so it needs infrastructure.
Jensen, I want to take a short break and then come back. But when we come back, I want to ask you about the question that you hear all the time. And that is, with all of this money being spent on AI, are we inching toward bubble territory? So don't tell me right now. We're going to take a break, and then I'll ask Jensen Huang if this is a bubble. Stay with us. And you founded this company. I am back with the founder and CEO of Nvidia, Jensen Huang, here at the World Economic Forum. Jensen, before we went to the break, I mentioned the bubble talk. I want to get your take. A moment ago, you said we're talking about a consistent investment of how many $1 trillion every year?
Well, you know, I'm fairly certain that the world's R&D budget, which is along the lines of $20 trillion or so, is going to shift from the old ways of doing things to the new way of doing things based on artificial intelligence. And so the future R&D budget is going to drive enormous amount of infrastructure. We're going to be, you know, it's very likely this is the largest infrastructure build out in human history. And over the course of the next 15 years, a lot of estimates come in at, you know, $85 trillion. And so we're going to build a lot of infrastructure.
So if you're talking about a couple of $1 trillion every year going into this, what do you say to those people who say that's absolutely not going to happen? It's a bubble, and we're going to have some companies holding the bag, banks who are lending out this money. Because remember, some of these companies who are investing in AI, they're borrowing the money. Is it a bubble?
Well, during the time when companies build infrastructure, it is not unusual to borrow money. However, we're nowhere near a bubble right now. And the reason why we know that is because every single GPU that NVIDIA has in the cloud, and they're in Azure, they're in AWS, they're in, you know, they're GCP, they're all rented out. They're in CoreWeave, they're all rented out. And in fact, the demand is so high for our GPUs that the spot price of GPUs we sold a couple of years ago are going up. And so that tells you something. And so demand for Blackwell is incredible. Demand for our next generation product, Rubin, is incredible. Demand for our past generations in the cloud is incredible. And so what's happening right now is that every single industry is now jumping onto AI because AI's progress in the last couple of years, because of agentic systems, reasoning AIs that are incredibly well grounded because it does research, and so it doesn't hallucinate like it used to. The AIs are now able to solve problems, and as a result, you could build application companies on top of it. One of my favorites, Open Evidence, Cursor. We use Cursor all over NVIDIA. So many great companies. 11 Labs, you know, Synthesia. So many different companies. A Bridge in healthcare. So many used by nurses. Incredible companies. And all these companies are built on top of large language models, and they're finally solving problems that are really useful to the industry. And so I think this is the beginning, really, of a decade-long build-out. Eventually, surely we will have more, at some point, spot areas, more capacity than demand, but we're nowhere near that today.
But you founded this company. What an incredible company, and you're at the center of this, but others are seeing what you're doing and trying to compete. Is the space getting more competitive for you today?
Our space is incredibly competitive. Yeah. I've got a lot of competitors. It's hard to imagine. You know, Google's been here for a while, and they're an excellent AI company for a very long time, and they're an incredible company. But we have competition from all sides.
And?
Well, we just have to run fast. You know, NVIDIA is the only company in the world today that can build the entire AI infrastructure, which the Vera Rubin was just announced. It takes 6 revolutionary new chips that builds these infrastructures that go for $30, $40, $50 billion at a pop. And so the scale by which we do things, NVIDIA's $20 billion annual R&D budget. We're the only company in the world that's cranking these things out every single year. Now, when we deliver new generations every year, we reduce the cost of token generation. We increase the energy efficiency. And if I keep doing that, we'll stay ahead.
That is amazing. $20 billion R&D budget at NVIDIA. Real quick before you go, what are the plans for Grok?
Well, Grok has a new architecture that is designed for extremely low latency token generation. NVIDIA's architecture is for high throughput, high energy efficiency. Their architecture is for low latency. So you can now respond very, very quickly. Maybe if I can combine the two, we can do something pretty incredible.
You just gave us some hint on that. Jensen, thank you very much for that. Great to have you this morning.
Thank you, Maria.
We so appreciate it. Jensen Huang is the founder and CEO of NVIDIA. We'll be right back.